The average Amazon seller wastes 28 to 40% of their ad budget on searches that will never convert, and most of them don't even know it's happening. That's not a rounding error. On a $10,000 a month ad spend, you're burning $3,000 to $4,000 showing ads to people who were never going to buy. We audit 7 to 8 figure Amazon accounts every week. The first thing we check is negative keywords, and in 80% of accounts is either a mess or completely empty. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how negative keywords work, how to find the ones you're missing, give you a starter list you can use today, and show you the mistakes that cause sellers to over-negate and kill their own campaigns. Because here's what nobody tells you. There's a ratio of positive to negative keywords that separates profitable campaigns from wasteful ones, and most sellers have it completely backwards. So let's start with this big waste problem. Here's what happens when you run an Amazon PPC without negative keywords. You launch a broad match campaign for coffee maker. It seems reasonable. You want to capture all the ways people search coffee makers, but Amazon's algorithm doesn't know what you don't want. So your ads show up for coffee maker cleaner or cheap coffee maker under $20. When you're selling a $200 machine, none of them will ever convert. And because your conversion rate tanks, Amazon algorithm thinks your product isn't relevant. So it shows you less to people who actually want to buy. Negative keywords are filters. They tell Amazon, never show my ad when someone searches this. They separate the lookers from the buyers, and they protect your budget from searches that look relevant but aren't. The data on this is clear. Unoptimized accounts waste 28 to 40% of ad spend on irrelevant traffic. That's not an estimate. That's what we see in actual search term reports. And the downstream effects are worse than wasted clicks. When your ad shows to the wrong people, your click-through rate drops, conversion rate drops. Amazon's algorithm learns that your product doesn't match these searches, but it also starts doubting your relevance for good searches too. On one account, we recovered $381,000 in wasted spend for a single client just by implementing proper negative keyword structure. That's not optimization. That's money that was literally being thrown away. So if you're running ads right now and you never touched negative keywords or added a few 6 months ago and forgot about them, you're almost certainly bleeding budget. The question is how much? Pull your search term report for the last 30 days. Filter for searches with clicks and no sales. Add up the spend. That's the wasted number. And negative keywords are how to fix it. So now let's look at how negative keywords actually work. Amazon gives you 2 types of negative keywords, and using the wrong one will either leave gaps in your protection or block searches you actually want. There are 2 types, negative exact and negative phrase. There is no negative broad. Amazon doesn't offer it, and that matters more than you think. Negative exact blocks that specific phrase and close variation. If you add cheap coffee maker as a negative exact, your ad still shows for a coffee maker cheap. It only blocks that exact phrase. Negative phrase blocks any search that contains that phrase in order. So if you add cheap coffee maker as a negative phrase and you block anything with that word in that sequence. Here's where sellers mess up. They add cheap as negative exact, thinking they'll block all cheap related searches. They haven't. Cheap coffee maker, cheap espresso machine, cheap pod coffee maker all still show. You need negative phrase for that. But phrase has risks too. Add coffee as a negative phrase and you've just blocked every search containing the word coffee, including the ones you want. So here's the rule. You need to use negative phrase for themes you want to block entirely, like cheap, used, repair. Use negative exact for specific multi-word phrases that don't convert but share words with good searches. And there's a third option most sellers miss, negative ASINs. You can block your ads from showing your specific product pages. This prevents cannibalization if you're advertising against your own variation, or lets you avoid competitors' pages that never convert. Before you add any negative keyword, ask, do I want to block this exact phrase, or do I want to block any search containing these words? That determines whether you use exact or phrase. Get it wrong and you either leave gaps or overblock. So now let's go into finding your negative keywords. Some sellers build negative keyword lists from scratch using logic. I sell premium products, so I negate cheap, budget, discount, affordable. That's the start, but it misses the searches that are actually wasting money right now. The real negative keywords are not the ones that you imagine. imagine. They're the ones hiding in your search term report. The search term report shows you every search that triggered your ad. Filter for high spend, low conversion, and you'll find exactly what to negate. Now here's the process. Download the search term report for the last 30 to 60 days. Sort by spend, highest to lowest. Now look for searches that meet this criteria. 20 or more clicks with 0 sales. Why 20 clicks? Because you need enough data to know it's a pattern, not bad luck. 10 clicks with no sales could be noise. 20 clicks with no sales is a signal. These are your first tier negatives, the obvious waste. Add them immediately. But here's where it gets powerful. Don't just look at individual searches, look for patterns. This is called engrams analysis. Break your losing searches into 1, 2, or 3 word chunks and see what repeats. Maybe you see manual appearing in 5 different non-converting searches. The individual searches might only have 8 clicks each, not enough to negate one, but manual as a theme has 40 clicks and 0 sales. That's your negative. One account we audited had the word repair scattered across 23 different search terms. None of them individually hit 20 clicks threshold, but combined over 200 clicks, 0 sales, $847 in wasted spend. One negative phrase, repair, fixed all 23 at once. This is why weekly or bi-weekly search term reviews matter. You're not just finding individual bad searches, you're finding patterns that reveal what your non-buyers have in common. So set a calendar reminder every week, pull your search term report, filter for spend over $10 with 0 sales, and look for patterns. The first time you do this, you'll probably find 30 to 50 negatives. After a few months, you'll find 5 to 10. That's the system working. Now let's go into building your master negative keyword list. So reactive negatives, the ones you find in search term reports. Fix problems after they cost you money. Proactive negatives prevent the waste before it happens. The best Amazon advertisers build master negative lists before they launch campaigns. They know which searches will never convert for their product category and they block them from day one. There are 6 categories of negative keywords that apply to almost every product. Build your list around these, then customize your specific category. So category 1, low intent budget terms. So cheap, budget, free, discount, affordable, under $20, clearance. If you're selling premium products, these searches signal price sensitive buyers who won't pay your price. So category 2, informational. So searches like how to, what is, tutorial, reviews, versus, comparison, DIY, fix. These people are researching, not buying. They buy eventually, but not from a click that costs $2. And then category 3, wrong audience. For kids, for men, for women, for seniors, for students. Whoever doesn't match your product. If you sell men's watches, negate women before it wastes your budget. And in category 4, materials and variants you don't sell. If your coffee maker is stainless steel, negate plastic, glass, ceramic. If you sell new products, negate used, refurbished, second-hand, renewed. And in category 5, jobs and career searches. So jobs, hiring, salary, careers, work from home. People searching these aren't shopping, they're job hunting. This one surprises sellers, but it's common in broad match. Category 6, competitors and brand terms. So if you're a small brand showing up for Ninja Coffee Maker, searches might waste money on brand loyal shoppers. Test this one. Sometimes competitors conquesting works and sometimes it doesn't. So build a master spreadsheet with these 6 categories. Add 10 to 20 terms per category based on your product. That's your launch list. 60 to 120 negatives ready before your first ad runs. Then refine weekly with search term data. Your master list grows over time. Mature campaigns often have hundreds of negatives, not because they're over blocking, but because they're learning exactly who doesn't convert. So here's where most advice gets it wrong. You hear add as many negatives as possible or be aggressive with negatives. That's dangerous. Over negating kills campaigns just surely as under negating wastes budget. There's a ratio that works. Start roughly with 1-to-1. 1 negative for every positive keyword. Scale 35-to-1 positives to negatives in mature campaigns. So why does this ratio matter? Because negatives restrict where Amazon shows your ads. Too few restrictions and you waste money on irrelevant searches. Too many restrictions and you choke off discovery. In new campaigns, you're still learning what works. You need Amazon's algorithm to explore. A 1-by-1 ratio gives you basic protection without blocking potential winners. As campaigns mature and you have months of search term data, you know exactly what converts. Now you can be more aggressive. A 35-to-1 ratio means you have broad targeting but precise filters. You're catching every relevant search term, blocking every relevant one. The mistake is starting aggressive. Sellers launch with 500 negative based on theory, block half their potential traffic and wonder why impressions are low. Let the data tell you what to negate. Don't guess. guess. So check your current ratio, count the positive keywords, count your negatives. If you're 100-to-1 positive to negatives, you're probably under blocking. If you're 2-to-1 on a new campaign, you might be choking discovery. Adjust based on campaign maturity and actual search term data. So I've shown you how to use negative keywords correctly. Now let me show you how sellers destroy their own campaigns by using them wrong. There are 4 mistakes that cause the most damage. Avoid these and you're ahead of 90% of advertisers. Mistake 1, over-negating in discovery campaigns. Your auto and broad match campaigns exist to find new keywords. If you negate aggressively before you have data, you block searches that might have converted. Wait 20 to 30 clicks before negating anything in discovery campaigns. Let the algorithm learn. Mistake 2, negate based on ACoS alone. A keyword with an 80% ACoS looks terrible, but if it's driving organic rank for a launch product, that waste might be an investment. So check the keyword's job before you negate. Ranking keywords can run high ACoS temporarily, and a mistake 3, not cross-negating between campaigns. You find a winner in your auto campaign, stainless steel coffee maker, and move it to exact match. Great, but if you don't negate the phrase on your auto campaign, both campaigns now compete for the same search. You're bidding against yourself. Mistake 4, set and forget. Your negative list from 6 months ago doesn't account for new search trends, seasonal terms, or changes in your product line. Negatives need monthly audits just like positive keywords. Before you add any negatives, ask yourself 3 questions. First, do I have enough data? If it's under 20 clicks, wait. Second, what's the keyword's job? If it's ranking, high ACoS might be acceptable. Third, have I negated? If I'm moving a keyword to exact match, did I negate it in the source campaign? Answer those 3 questions and you'll avoid 90% of negative keyword mistakes. So negative keywords have been around for years, but Amazon's advertising platform keeps evolving, and 2026 brought changes that makes negatives more powerful than ever. There's 2 updates that matter most: ASIN-level negative keywords in product targeting and AI-enriched automation tools. So first, ASIN-level negatives. You can now add negative keywords directly to ASIN targeted ad groups. Before, if you targeted a competitor's product page, you couldn't control which searches trigger your ad on that page. Now you can. You can target ASINs but negate cheap or refurbished searches even on that specific placement. It's precision targeting that didn't exist before. Second, AI automation. Tools like AdBrew, BidX now auto-add negatives after a set number of non-converting clicks. You set the threshold, let's say 15 clicks and no sales, and the system negates automatically. This doesn't replace manual review, but it catches obvious waste faster than weekly audits. And here's the bigger picture. Amazon's algorithm increasingly uses what they call personal signals, behavioral patterns that indicate buyer type. When you negate effectively, you're not just blocking bad searches, you're training the algorithm to show your ads to high intent buyer personas. Your negatives become a signal about who your real customer is. If you're not using ASIN level negatives in your product targeting campaigns, you're missing a layer of control. And if you're manually auditing search terms weekly, consider adding automations for obvious waste. Save your manual review time for pattern analysis and strategic decisions. Now here's what it comes down to. Negative keywords aren't about blocking searches, they are about focus. Every ad dollar has a job. It should reach someone who might actually buy. When you negate correctly, you're not restricting your campaigns, you're concentrating them. You're telling Amazon's algorithm exactly who your customer is by showing it who your customers aren't. Now some of you are going to take this too far. You'll find keywords that are still bleeding after you added negatives and you still want to pause them entirely. Don't, not yet. Pausing a keyword isn't like adding a negative, it's permanent damage. You lose historic data, you tank organic rank, and restarting costs 2 to 3 times more than if you've just fixed it properly. I recorded a full breakdown on the 5 things you need to check before you pause any keyword, because 9 times out of 10, the keyword isn't a problem. Sometimes something else is. That video link is somewhere here. See you in the next one.